Hey there, fantastic folks of Readers on the Sky, Chloe here. And man, am I thrilled to have you back for another Reddit tale. Today's story is packed with twists, turns, and maybe a sprinkle of that Reddit magic we all love. So, buckle up, get cozy, and let's dive into a journey where the unexpected awaits. I hope you enjoy the ride and have a blast with us. Let the storytelling adventure begin. Hey! Brace yourself, because I'm about to share a story that goes beyond the boundaries of our little world here. My wife, the one I thought would be my life companion, went off the rails and pleaded for forgiveness. Her betrayal came to light about 7 months ago, and the pain I felt was like a whirlwind, one of those that seems never-ending. I was seriously depressed for a long time, carrying the weight of the world like a pygmy trying to move a mountain. I never confronted my wife, but the mess was total. She must have known. I knew she just didn't care, or at least that's what I presumed back then. About 2 or 3 months ago, I decided to end it all, the marriage, the relationship, simply because I didn't care anymore. I gave up completely, preparing for an imminent divorce and a new life that loomed ahead. I avoided my wife as much as possible, trying to leave the house when she was there, responding with monosyllables when she asked me questions. I even left the divorce lawyer's bills in plain sight. She should have noticed that something was going on. I was being examined and preparing for the inevitable outcome. Even the kids noticed something, asking about the situation. Even they saw what was going on. I gave the standard speech, explaining that we both loved them, that it wasn't their fault, and that sometimes adults just can't stay together anymore. My wife was in the room when I made this speech, but she didn't comment or object. I took her silence as a resigned consent. A few days ago, I met a girl, Monica, an old acquaintance from school, even before I met my wife. There was always a tension between us, a palpable chemistry. We flirted and were sensitive, but we never did anything about it. Monica, who looks a lot like Monica Bellucci, and her family moved away before I had the courage to act back then. I regretted that for a long time, but life is like that, full of choices and moments we wish we could go back to. I hadn't thought about Monica for years, but when we reunited, the tension between us was stronger than ever. Communication was easy, and she even invited me out. I explained the situation, shared about my soon-to-be ex-wife, and she accepted, understanding what I was going through. Sometimes life throws surprises at us when we least expect them, and the story continues to unfold in ways we couldn't have imagined. That's the journey, full of ups and downs, and who knows what the future holds. I told her that I wanted to finalize our separation before getting involved with someone. I had no intention of cheating, and Monica respected that. She gave me her number and asked me to call once I sorted things out. Monica had never been married, and she was excited to meet me. Her anticipation further motivated me. The meeting with Monica was the push I needed to finally confront my wife and officially initiate the separation and divorce process. I came home very happy, but at the same time nervous, waiting for my wife. Actually, I ended up having a little drink. I needed to gather courage. When I called her to talk, I mentioned that I had known about the affair for a long time. I assumed she knew too, especially because I had distanced myself from the relationship in the last 3 months. She didn't seem to care, but I no longer cared either. Then, I stated that I wanted to start dating and move on. I concluded my speech, suggesting that it was time for us to get divorced. Her reaction wasn't what I expected. She started crying, not a common cry but a desperate lament that echoed in the soul. She apologized, begged for a second chance, said the affair meant nothing. She proposed trying counseling to fix things. I was shocked. I thought she would be happy with the decision. I told her she could go and be with the other guy without guilt, as he obviously meant more to her than the family. I argued that if she thought our marriage needed fixing, the time was 7 months ago, before the affair. Now it was too late. It was broken beyond repair. I can't believe we had problems that couldn't be resolved. She wouldn't talk to me. And I'm not a mind reader. If something was wrong, she should have talked before starting this affair. I calmly explained that there was no undoing the last 7 months, nor the pain and suffering she caused. The pain led me to a point of indifference, even a certain deep aversion. I'm trying to maintain civility to co-parent our children in the future. I told her I didn't believe she cared about me. No person who cares would put someone through this pain. Wouldn't betray like this. Saying she loves me holds no meaning. Her actions prove otherwise. It's become incoherent. I had to call her sister because, honestly, I wasn't in a condition to take care of her. The sister showed up. I explained what was happening, and she took her away. I felt relief when they left, as if I could finally breathe after 7 months. I don't know what I'm looking for here. She must have known this would happen. Maybe she wanted it. She can't be so naive to believe her choices wouldn't lead to divorce and a broken family. She's beautiful, intelligent. Our marriage was great until the affair started. I accepted life changes, moved on. But now she's pretending love, wanting to keep the marriage and the family. I don't understand the motivation for this drama. What would she gain? I live in a European country, so there would be no alimony for her. It might be a ploy, but I can't understand what the goal is. I have evidence of her betrayal. Maybe she wants my sympathy to prevent me from telling the guy's wife she cheated with. I don't understand. I just needed to get this out of my head. I hope typing it out would make more sense, but I'm as confused as when I started. Does anyone think I should tell his wife? I believe it's a sign of respect, even if it causes pain. Perhaps she's afraid I'll tell and wants my sympathy. Either way, I need to get this out of my head. I focus on being the best father to my children, not allowing them to see the pain their mother caused. Kids are smart. They'll figure it out. As for Monica, she seems to understand what I'm going through. I wouldn't advise rushing into another relationship. I've seen too many men sign up for the first replacement and end up worse. The story suggests we have good chemistry. Good luck. It might be better not to disrupt the equation with another. I owe no explanations for how I dealt with this. It's heart-wrenching to know my trust was so misplaced, and now I face a massive black hole. My wife completely betrayed her family, and I was right to think she, at least unconsciously, did so. I was intentionally destroying my own family. Thank you for your advice. I'm leaning towards telling the partner's wife. I also appreciate the advice about the kids. I was already aware of how challenging it would be for them. I'll do my best to be there for them whenever they need me. My soon-to-be ex-wife's betrayal has left me deeply confused. And first of all, I want to express my gratitude to everyone. It's been overwhelming in many ways. I couldn't respond to everyone. I tried to take in everything I posted. 3 days after the conversation with my ex-wife, Sunny, I barely slept. In fact, I passed out reading messages on my computer. When I woke up the next day, I had an interesting keyboard pattern on my face and a much clearer mind. I decided to make some pros and cons lists, addressing key points. I put a bunch of papers on the wall, with a headline for each of them. I included topics like our kids, how to behave when meeting the partner's wife, my marriage, questions from Monica to ask my wife. Among others, the document is too extensive to be retyped here, so I'll address only a few key points. My goal was to identify which fundamental principles to implement and what to focus on. I went through each one, evaluating whether I would be able to achieve something meaningful and what would be a significant outcome if I succeeded. For the kids, my number one priority. I'll intensify efforts to help them cope. I'll seek more individual and family counseling, organize trips to spend more quality time together, creating new memories. I'll involve the rest of the family to drown them in love and help them overcome this. I'll talk to teachers, coaches, etc., ensuring their support system is immediate and everywhere. I took an STI test and booked DNA tests for the kids. The mere idea that they might not be mine is uncomfortable, but I need to be sure. Thinking about their well-being, if they're not mine, there could be important medical history. I want to ensure that when they grow up, They know how to contact their real father. I'll be stressed until this is confirmed in some way. After talking to their therapists, first, we gathered and explained everything carefully. We let them ask any questions they had in mind. I repeated several times that they could come to me with anything. After all, I'm their father. I love them more than anything, and I'll always be there for them, no matter what they need. As for my marriage, I've come to the conclusion that I can never trust my wife again. Without trust, a relationship becomes impossible. I've also realized that I no longer love her. I don't love the person she has become. The love she used to ignite in me vanished with the affair. My perception of her has completely changed. Maybe I could learn to love her again, but for that, I would have to want to. And to be honest, I don't. It's better to end this and move on with our lives. I don't want this marriage anymore. I don't want our relationship. I don't want her. The part of me that loved her, that used to feel infinite joy and happiness thinking about her, is now filled with fear and memories of pain. Any thought associated with her causes great discomfort at the moment. Divorce seems inevitable, and I want to resolve it as quickly as possible. I talked a lot with Monica and shared some concerns based on the feedback I received here on Reddit. Maybe entering into a new relationship wasn't a good idea, and I didn't want to bring her into my tea. Total mess. When I mentioned this, she disagreed. She said life is a mess, and we could face it together while dating. I found out why she never got married. She was engaged, but her fiancé passed away in a work accident almost 5 years ago. It devastated her. And although she went on a few dates since then, she couldn't form a connection with anyone. Life is short, according to her, and you have to take risks when a real opportunity arises. I explained that I don't want to start anything until the divorce is finalized, and she agreed, respecting that. We talked about how it would be perceived if we suddenly got together before the divorce was official. We decided to wait a bit after the officialization to take action. I feel deeply attracted to Monica, but this is an emotionally delicate matter, and I won't contact her again until everything is resolved. When it was time to plan the meeting with my wife, I wrote down some principles about who I want to be. I made every effort to be that man. The man I was before all of this. I decided to stay calm, not be cruel. And remember that the purpose of the conversation was to move on with our lives. The goal was to co-parent in the best possible way for our kids. Still, I prepared a list of questions to try to understand what she was thinking when having this affair, and what she was considering moving forward. I don't intend to be deceptive or give false hope. I decided to act as fairly as possible, dividing everything equally, including assets, and seeking equitable custody of our children, despite all the harm she caused me. I won't take her as a role model. I will act in a way that I can stand behind my actions today, tomorrow, and in 20 years. I hate her for what she did to me, to us, and to our children, but I love the memories of the good times we shared while it lasted, and I love the children we raised together. I will try to remember her in that light as I move forward. Even in the face of betrayal, I can't carry hatred in my heart. At some point, I'll need to forgive her to move forward, up to the point she betrayed me. I believe we had a very good marriage. We made love every day, spent a lot of quality time together, and rarely argued. We willingly sacrificed for each other. I was very open with her until I discovered her infidelity. I believe she was open with me as well. But now her actions show otherwise. Saturday came, and I went to see her. Her sister warned me that she wasn't in good shape, and she was right. My ex-wife, Sony, looked absolutely terrible. Her eyes were bloodshot, her face swollen, her hair disheveled. She seemed much smaller than I remembered, as if she had imploded in on herself. I doubt she had slept or eaten much that week. We all sat down, and my wife trembled almost uncontrollably. Surprisingly, I felt calm in the situation. I empathized with her obvious pain, but not as a loving spouse would. It was like watching an actor in a movie I had been involved in. When she finally started speaking, It was like an explosion. Apologies spilled out with every other word. Surprisingly, she didn't try to excuse herself or blame me. Her sister cried and scolded her from time to time. It became clear that her sister warned her that this would happen. Apparently, that's how her sister lost her fiancé a year ago. Something I didn't know. Her sister's betrayal triggered a kind of midlife crisis, and she started thinking a lot about cheating. In the end, she did it because she fell in love with the guy and believed there would be no consequences. She was content in our marriage and convinced herself she deserved this adventure. When I confronted my wife, I realized I probably don't love her anymore. I sat there and waited for her to compose herself enough to speak. She started several times but broke down crying. It seemed genuine. She cried incessantly for a week, mixing agonizing sobs and bubbles of snot. When she finally managed to speak, she tried to apologize incessantly, blaming no one but herself. I, on the other hand, showed no interest in having anything to do with her until that moment. I empathized with her pain, but not as a loving spouse would. It was more like how I would feel for an actor in a movie, something I was involved in. I tried to ask some questions to understand what was on her mind, but I realized I probably would never get the answers I seek because there's no acceptable answer to betrayal. Still, somehow, I got a kind of strange closure. I had to explain to her how much she hurt me, the incredible pain she caused, and she accepted the blame for the end of our marriage and the broken home our children would now grow up in. This conversation brought a strange sense of peace, even though the pain was still present. She was reading about rebuilding a marriage after infidelity, preparing a detailed confession schedule, but I didn't read it. I just gave up and called my lawyer. She begged for a second chance, promising to do anything to fix what was broken. I told her broken is broken, and if she doesn't know how to fix it, how can I expect to present a solution to her? I asked her what she would do if she were in my place, and she admitted she would probably do the same. I conducted a DNA test on the kids, suggesting I would do this after some back and forth. She collapsed upon hearing this, insisting it was the only time she cheated. After some time, she admitted I had no reason to believe her. I asked if the partner's wife knew, and she agreed she deserved to know. I inquired if she would tell her, and she asked if I would consider reconciliation or marriage counseling. I responded negatively, making it clear that I didn't believe her but that it would help her gain some respect in my eyes. She promised to tell the partner's wife and everyone else, as well as seek professional help. I didn't believe her vows of never being with anyone else, but I kept silent. She offered an open marriage, complete access to her communications, and 24/7 availability. I explained I was waiting for respect. I didn't want to cheat or have an open relationship. After 5 hours of exhausting conversation, I made it clear that the love I had for her had died. The person she had become destroyed our family. I told her I would file for divorce, and the only way to avoid it was not to start the affair 7 months ago. I didn't want her marriage anymore. I didn't want more pain. Suggesting we not contact each other for a while seemed like the only way to gain some distance and perspective. I had to pour out to her about the overwhelming pain I was feeling. The intensity of the pain she expressed made her finally accept responsibility for the collapse of our marriage and the prospect of our children growing up in a fragmented home. This brought me a strange sense of peace, even though the wound was still open. She was trying everything to fix what broke after the infidelity, including drafting a detailed confession schedule, but I refused to read it, opting to call my lawyer. She begged for a second chance, promising to do anything to fix it, but I simply didn't trust her anymore. When asked how she would feel if she were in my shoes, she admitted she probably wouldn't forgive. I conducted a DNA test on the kids, which made her break down for about 20 minutes. After some back and forth, she admitted I had no reason to believe her. When I asked if the partner's wife knew, she agreed she deserved to know. Regarding reconciliation or marriage counseling, I responded negatively but mentioned that regaining some respect in my eyes would help. She promised to tell the partner's wife, confess to HR, and swore never to be with anyone else, vowing to come back to me even if it took the rest of her life. I didn't believe her, but I remained silent. She proposed an open marriage with complete access to her communications and 24/7 availability. I explained I was waiting for Monica, didn't want to cheat or have an open relationship, as it would hurt her, and I didn't want to hurt others as she hurt me. After over 5 hours of conversation, I made it clear that the love I had for her had died. Our family was destroyed by her actions, and I was determined to get a divorce. I suggested we not communicate for a while to gain some distance and perspective. As I left, I told her about the divorce process already initiated and the possibility of family therapy for co-parenting. It was incredibly painful to say I didn't want to see her anymore. When I left, she had a massive nosebleed, and I took her to the emergency room. The soon-to-be ex-wife is telling everyone about what happened, and the partner's wife wants to confirm the details. I feel like crap, unable to sleep, with cracks in my determination. Guilt and responsibility haunt me, but I know I need to stay strong. It's not easy to deal with this. I've been receiving angry calls from her friends and relatives, all insisting I should give a second chance. But honestly, I'm thinking, why prolong the pain? Maybe it's better to end this once and for all, allowing all of us to start healing and building new lives. It's not a spectacular ending. No revenge, no resolution, no peace, just more pain for all of us. My mind is in a very dark place right now, and honestly, I don't know what to do. Thomas J. Gatto left a comment that resonated with me. He compared marriage to a vase we both built, adding pieces and decorations to make it wonderful. But my ex-wife threw it on the ground, and now she's trying to pick up the pieces. Some will never be found. And even if she tries to rebuild, there will be cracks everywhere. Every touch on that vase will be painful. He suggests it's time to start building another vase with someone else. He shared a midlife crisis he had because of his sister's betrayal, and reflected on the importance of never betraying someone you truly love. He encourages not to give up, reminding that I am the prize she will always be seeking. Now is the perfect time to rebuild self-esteem, exercise, find new hobbies, and move forward. This situation is tough, but moving forward and focusing on personal well-being is essential. Her family may not be worth the time, and giving the kids an example that betrayal is unforgivable is a powerful way to shape their future. And there you have it, amazing viewers. Huge thanks for joining us on this wild ride of storytelling. We genuinely appreciate each and every one of you. If you enjoyed the suspense, the laughs, or maybe even shed a tear, know that we're stoked to have shared this moment with you. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you never miss out on our next adventure. Drop a comment below with your thoughts and suggestions. Your engagement makes this community thrive. Until next time, stay awesome, stay curious, and we can't wait to see you in our next tale.